Never retreat, never explain, get it done and let them howl. Benjamin Jowett. If you enjoy this video, please help support my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please remember that I am not a financial advisor.
We are witnessing a revolution in digital money that could make remittances easier, faster, and cheaper.
We have seen the relationship between Ripple and the IMF. Now, Kristlina is calling digital currency a revolution while praising what it can do for remittances, the use case for XRP.
As activities in these areas progress, there will be significant disruption and change in the way money moves around the world. Many central banks are looking at digital currencies and working to apply this technology to their local markets and determine the longer-term impact on global payment systems. There's also significant focus on cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, where the trajectory is less clear as market participants evaluate their possibility as a store of value. At Goldman Sachs, we continue to look for ways to expand our capabilities to support our clients' needs and evaluate applications to improve our organizational efficiency. Of course, we need to operate within the current regulatory guidelines. For example, we cannot own Bitcoin or trade it as principal. Goldman Sachs will play a role in these innovations as they are important to our clients and important to the future of global financial systems.
Goldman Sachs realizes that there will be a significant change, a disruption, in the way money moves around the world. They will play a role in these innovations because they're important to clients and to the advancement of global financial systems.
The eminent MIT economist Rudi Dornbusch famously said, "In economics, things take longer to happen than you think they will, and then they happen faster than you thought they could."
Crypto has been around since 2009.
Digital money is a perfect illustration. After a long period of development, the field is now on the cusp of major changes that have the potential to reshape cross-border payments and remittances.
Did you hear what Kristlina said? We're on the cusp of digital currencies transforming cross-border payments and remittances. Is this just another speculative bubble, or are we on the cusp of a fundamental shift? I guess we'll find out.
The field is now on the cusp of major changes that have the potential to reshape cross-border payments and remittances.
Digital currencies will reshape cross-border payments and remittances.
I've worked with Ripple actually dating back to 2014, so I know them pretty well, or not as much in recent years. But while I was still at Morgan Stanley, actually, we took a pretty deep dive with a corporate client on this very question of how do we actually help the corporate clients save money on their cross-border payments. And Ripple is absolutely trying to solve the problem that a lot of folks are trying to solve and coming at it from many different directions.
Morgan Stanley, just like Goldman Sachs, have clients with problems. Ripple can solve a very expensive problem. As crypto keeps gaining in value, more and more clients will demand crypto solutions. This will snowball. Didn't the bear have a riddle about snowballing?
We think of them more as crypto assets because crypto, what people call cryptocurrencies, they're really vehicles for speculation. No one is using them for payments, for example, like the dollar. What they're using them for is to speculate. It's a little bit like gold. For thousands of years, human beings have given gold this special value that it doesn't have from an industrial standpoint, but nonetheless, for thousands of years, they've done that. So Bitcoin is much more like that, and the cryptocurrencies are much more like that. They're not really being actively used as payments.
Powell downplays gold and Bitcoin at the same time. Gold has a special value because it's God's money. There are cryptos that are specializing in payments, yet he pretends they don't exist. He knows that they exist because Ripple is on the board of the Faster Payments Task Force. The focus is on Bitcoin for a reason. As Kristlina has stated, we're on the cusp.
Remittances have always played a key role in improving the lives of people in developing economies and supporting economic activity. As we look for ways to address the challenges of economic divergences across countries, we need to use every tool we can to support those most affected by the pandemic. And with the risk of a growing digital divide between rich and poor countries, we must also ensure that all countries can benefit from the latest innovations in digital money and in digital payments, especially remittances. Efforts are underway to improve cross-border payment systems under the Financial Stability Board's 2020 roadmap.
The world is globalized, and what is good for undeveloped nations and second world nations is good for the first world nations. Removing frictions from the legacy system has the potential to boost global GDP. In other words, this biblical recession we are facing, we might survive. Technology can boost our economy by reducing the friction. She keeps focusing on remittances. XRP is designed for remittance companies. Her whole speech is about digital currencies, and she's saying they must use every tool they can. She also mentions the FSB Stability Board and their global stablecoin roadmap. Kristlina is gearing us up for something. Does price dictate the news, or does news dictate the price?
In 2017, after 2018, 2017, after the bubble burst and everything went really quiet, some people were like, oh, this is never going to come back. It's going to take 5 years. It's going to take 10 years. And I remember having a conversation with a buddy of mine and saying, well, maybe, but remember, they're like, oh, it's just like the stock market bubble, the internet bubble in the 2000s. I was like, kind of. I think the difference here is that the internet didn't have the internet. And crypto is a world that lives on the internet, and the collaboration allows for an incredible amount of speed.
Everyone compares crypto to something different, but it's a new asset class. We're in uncharted waters, and as Miguel mentions, the internet bubble didn't have the internet. Most of the world is connected with high-speed internet access, and everyone is able to contribute with open source code.
Around like the cross-border side is, how do you evaluate if there is indeed a bridge currency that will act in between two multiple CBDCs, similar to the project that's ongoing between Bank of Thailand and HKMA? What will be the form of valuation? So similar to like a cryptocurrency nowadays, what will be the stable coin that to manage that certainty?
In the early days, R3 and Ripple had a relationship. Proof of concepts for banking consortia were built. There was a deal to buy 5 billion XRP. R3 only bought 1 billion of the 5. XRP was the first asset to be coded into Corda Settler. A bridge asset is key to walled gardens that R3 has built. Stablecoins are fixed, and a bridge between two CBDCs cannot be fixed. The bridge asset needs to be free-floating. If trade were carried out in fixed assets or stablecoins, GDP cannot expand. A global stablecoin would need to expand and contract relative to gross domestic product. And if every nation was using a global stablecoin, how would that work? It wouldn't. Each nation's GDP has a different rate of expanding and contracting. Therefore, a global stablecoin wouldn't work for every nation. The free-floating bridge asset is key.
I think there's just going to be an explosion of opportunity in this space. So the regulators are going to have to be a little bit ahead of the U.S. Congress. But once the U.S. Congress starts to catch up, then you'll, I think, see the federal government involve itself in opportunities that the states are already innovating in.
The SEC case was a blessing in disguise. XRP will have clarity. It will take the U.S. Congress a while to catch up, and XRP will have a green light.
Crypto is now a $2+ trillion asset class, and the customers who are owning crypto assets are the same people who are also depositors and checking account customers and mortgage borrowers, et cetera, of banks. And so it was no longer possible for us to ignore the fact that the assets that were growing in size and scale on the crypto side were lacking a safe place to be custodied or a safe place to be exchanged for value the way that all other assets can transact on a bank. So the first reason that we launched down the path was the recognition that the market had grown and that banks traditionally provide a safe custody location and safe transaction rails for people engaged in those things. But as we thought more deeply about that over time, what also became clear, and this comes back to my point about how we sort of tend to fetishize legacy banks over other people who are performing the same services in a different way, is it became clear at a certain point that one of the things that blockchains are is their payment networks. They are a set of technologies for transmitting value from person A to person B. Now, as I said, in the United States, unlike in our global competitor countries, we only allow banks, as defined, to connect to the government payment system at the Federal Reserve or to connect to the automated clearinghouse, which is essentially the bank cartel that runs its own payment system.
Some argue that markets dictate the news. For every action, there is a reaction. The price we are seeing is gaining the attention of everyone in the world. The regulators, the politicians want to be reelected. When the crypto market is $2+ trillion and going higher, they're going to make the popular decision. The big banks are failing. When this happens, the Fed will open for all banks to connect with the Fed versus just the banking cartel. The people have had enough of the too big to fail, and to appease us, they will level the playing field. We cannot seek or attain health, wealth, learning, justice, or kindness in general. Action is always specific, concrete, individualized, unique. Thank you for liking, watching, and subscribing. If you enjoy my work, please consider joining my Patreon. Remember to hit the bell.